What's going on, guys? Welcome to a random video on this channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the NBA playoffs and even that recent game with the Cavaliers versus Indiana, where the Cavaliers won 119 to 114. I have to say that Indiana was not impressive at all. They had a 25-point lead in the first half, and the Cavaliers won the game. Now, what people are really talking about with this game in particular is the fact that LeBron James got 41 points. They're also talking about that he shot 50% from the three-point line. And let me just say this about LeBron James. If he's in the game for 45 minutes, he's getting 41 points. That's not necessarily the best idea for the Cavaliers. I would say for a good amount of time, LeBron James has been playing about 40-plus minutes for the Cavaliers. Now, you compare that to the average for the other stars of other teams. And we're talking about even the Warriors, where they're averaging like Steph and Clay and Draymond, even Durant, I would say around 30 minutes per game, where it should be. And we're talking about regulation. Now, LeBron James going 40-plus minutes and getting 41 points, to me, is not impressive at all, because you're going against Indiana. And why would you need LeBron James in the game for 45 minutes? There's nobody in the sports media want to ask that question. Because when you talk about the Warriors, and I am saying this as a Warriors fan, shout out to DubNation, because in the playoffs, if you've been watching these games, including from the first game against the Blazers, the Warriors adjusted their defense. And that has a lot to do with Steve Kerr. If you don't remember, Steve Kerr is the coach of the Warriors. And in the first game, where the Warriors went up against the Blazers, they won 121 to 109. Then you go to the next game, the Warriors win again, 110 to 81. And you know that teams are going to get easy buckets because the Warriors were winning the whole game. So when the Blazers, get some buckets towards the end of the game, it's not like the Warriors are going all out. A lot of the guys were watching the game, including Steph and Draymond and Clay. And Durant wasn't even in the game. So you're talking about 110 to 81. The Blazers had 28 more points in the first game than the second game. So what are you guys talking about the Warriors can't play defense? That was a solid defensive game. That game too. I watched the entire game. Draymond Green in the paint. Incredible. Any team that I want to start right now, anybody in the NBA currently, I'm selecting Draymond Green. Every game he balls. And his defensive skills. And his ability to get the ball so they go back on offense. Fantastic. That's Draymond Green. And you got Clay. Clay can play offense, and even if he's not getting shots, he still contributes on defense. You also have Steph Curry who contributes to the defense. So what game were you guys watching? For the people that are saying that the Warriors don't have impressive defense. But wait a minute, you're talking about the Cavaliers also, right? So you want to talk about that game with the Cavaliers? LeBron James has 45 minutes in the game, gets 41 points. Everyone's comparing him to Jordan now, right? Again. Michael Jordan wasn't playing the entire game. Michael Jordan made his teammates better. Michael Jordan wouldn't find it acceptable if his team was playing mediocre basketball for most of the season, but he's getting 41 points in the game. When you guys select certain stats to compare LeBron to Jordan, you guys look ridiculous. Everyone knows that LeBron James is 3 for 7 in the NBA Finals. Everyone knows that Jordan is perfect in the NBA Finals. Everyone knows basketball, knows that Jordan has better skills than LeBron James. Dribbling skills, coordination, the jump shot, the clutch shot. I go on and on and on and on about Michael Jordan being better than LeBron James. You guys can't rewrite history. So as you guys try to rewrite that history about Michael Jordan, we're laughing at you. We watch the games. And for people like you, and there's a lot of them in sports media, you guys are about the hype, and you guys are about the trash talk, including when you talk about the Warriors. You're talking about whether Steph Curry can ball? He already proved that. The reason why LeBron James is 3 for 7 in NBA Finals is because of Steph and the Warriors. That's including Steve Kerr coaching the Warriors. But wait a minute. When you talk about the Warriors, you want to talk about last season, right? In the finals. But then you don't want to talk about the fact that Draymond was suspended because Tyronn Lue and LeBron James advocated for him to be suspended. Actually, they went to the media also complaining. Did you guys forget that? But wait a minute. You want to celebrate that the Cavaliers won the finals. And it wasn't the Warriors last year. But what about the previous season before that? The Warriors won. You don't want to talk about that? So you only want to talk about certain NBA Finals. Do you not want to talk about the fact that LeBron James hasn't won a lot in the NBA Finals? Again, 3 for 7? But wait a minute, again, this is a team sport. Okay, if this is a team sport, which I agree it's a team sport, why is LeBron James in the game for 45 minutes? Why would the Cavs require LeBron James to be in the game that much? Against Indiana. No offense, Indiana, but you're not impressive. So you're in an Eastern Conference where there's watered down basketball, and you got to be in the game for 40 plus minutes? If you're really interested in the game, go look and see how many games LeBron has been in the game for more than 40 minutes this season. It's a lot of games. Especially the part of the season where you're supposed to be playing your best basketball because you're getting ready for the playoffs. So what's the situation with the Cavaliers? Why is it like that? Why is it when LeBron has the ball in the game, at clutch times in the game, including in that game when he got 41 points, why doesn't he get his shots? Why is he being stopped when he tries to drive to the net? We're talking about the clutch times in the game. Why does it happen? A lot of you out there that talk about basketball in the sports media, you like to ignore a lot of things that you see in the game, in the league. And that's because you could be fans. Obviously, you're talking about sports. You're probably a sports fan, so you're a fan of basketball. Like, nobody wants to talk about the fact that you see the way LeBron dribbles the ball, honestly. And it has a lot to do with how big he is. But compare that to Michael Jordan. The finesse, the ability to drive the net, the fadeaway jump shot. You're telling me LeBron James has that? LeBron James does not have that. We all know that. Most of us know that. You're telling me that LeBron James has the ability to dribble and be coordinated like that at clutch times in the game? More often than not, he doesn't. I would say this. The reason why we talk about this is because if you compare LeBron James to Michael Jordan, there is no comparison. Michael Jordan is the best of all time. It's not even a conversation. These are facts about basketball. They don't want to say anything about the defense from the Cavaliers or the lack thereof. Now, when they talk about the Warriors, they'll say stuff about their defense. Even after that game, when they went up against the Blazers, and they win 109-81, and as a Warriors fan, again, shout out to DubNation, you guys know Steve Kerr made adjustments like we thought he was going to after the first game. And by the way, the Warriors did not have Durant in that game again. And the Warriors are a better team with him. We're not just comparing one game or the other when we're talking about Durant. We're talking about overall as a team, the Warriors are better. Now people want to say Kawhi on the Spurs is the best in the league and all that kind of stuff. You guys go from player to player. You want to ignore the Warriors. I see that. And I'm not just saying that because I root for the Warriors. I notice it every season. Because there's no way you can talk about last year's finals, not acknowledge the previous season when the Cavs didn't win. There's no way you can do that. When you try to mock the Warriors, and you talk about the fact that they had a 3-1 lead in that series, and you don't want to acknowledge the fact why LeBron James is 3 for 7, obviously people are going to ask questions about what you know about the NBA. I have nothing against LeBron, besides the fact that he's not Jordan, and this Cavaliers team is not built like a championship team, regardless if they win or don't win or whatever. You have one person who had to be in the game for 45 minutes to get 41 points against a mediocre Indiana team. That's it. They were mediocre, and the Cavs are mediocre. If you put the Cavs in the Western Conference, there is no way that they're winning a lot of these games during regular season. I'm talking about going up against teams like the Warriors and the Spurs. If you put the Blazers in the Eastern Conference, I think they do a lot better. You guys are about hype. When you talk about LeBron, a lot of hype. If any other team is out there watching the Warriors, they're like, wow, that is a very good team. The best team in the regular season, the best team in basketball right now. That's real talk. When they watch the Cavaliers, and they see LeBron James in the game for 45 minutes, or 40 plus minutes, and then they see the Cavaliers, who are going up against these teams, including Indiana, and they have a lot of issues with their defense. And even Indiana doesn't have great defense, but the Cavaliers are just as awful. You think those other teams don't notice that? Ask the other teams these questions, especially people in the sports media. Ask the other teams, the management, or anyone in the NBA, what do they think about a team like the Cavaliers, where their star athlete has to be in the game that much, and the fact that the Cavaliers, for most of the season, just have awful defense. You think they don't notice that? The Warriors, and especially the management for the Warriors, I'm sure they notice that. The Cavaliers' defense is not impressive. And don't talk about the Warriors' defense when they have Draymond in the paint, and Draymond is the best defender in the league. One of the best, you could say, but in my opinion, he is the best. And he can contribute to the offense. It's called a two-way player, Draymond Green. If LeBron James is shooting from the perimeter, you think the Warriors would have an issue with that? The smart teams out there, they want him to shoot from the perimeter. And you know why LeBron shoots from the perimeter? Because he doesn't want to always drive to the net. It's not because he has a great perimeter shot, because he doesn't. Even in that game, he goes 50%. More often than not, he's not shooting from the perimeter 50%. Just letting you know that. We are talking about 3-point shots. Look at the Blazers in the first game against the Warriors. The situation with the Warriors, you're not going to be able to outshoot them. Not happening. You talking about the next game against the Blazers? Steve Kerr made adjustments. And I also talked about where you don't know if the ball is going to be dished out to Draymond for a shot or Clark. You don't know. In the second game, they started utilizing McGee. You don't know when the ball is going to McGee. And actually, Steph was doing a fantastic job dishing the ball out to him. That's real talk about the Warriors. You want to talk about the Cavaliers also? Not impressive. That's it. They're not an impressive team. Could they change things? Anything's possible. But you talk about that game, and then you want to start comparing LeBron James to Jordan again? And it's not just one person. There's a lot of people in sports media. You guys are about the hype. And I don't care what sports network it is. There's a lot of them out there. It's hilarious when you guys talk about the Warriors. What could you possibly say about them right now? Best team in the regular season? Don't want to talk about that? All right. What else you want to say about LeBron James when he got 41 points, being in the game for 45 minutes? When you guys were talking about Westbrook, you said that he had the ball all the time, stat padding. Doesn't mean OKC is going to win. That's what you guys were saying. But guess what? Westbrook has been balling the whole season. He's the MVP this regular season. Most of the games, Westbrook has been balling like that. And Westbrook doesn't have the help. And that's for OKC's management to figure out. But you guys talking about LeBron, then you start talking about the Warriors. No, you guys don't watch the Warriors enough to even talk about them. And you guys should be embarrassed. Really. A lot of you guys out there in the sports media, no offense, but really, a lot of you are an embarrassment. The way you talk about sports and you want to talk about certain teams, I mean, my gosh, to even say that the Warriors don't have good defense. What games are you watching? What team are you watching? If you watch the Warriors, it makes a lot of sense. You have leaders on the team. The leaders on the team are there to motivate their teammates and make their teammates better. You know, for the people in the sports media, did you not notice that Durant is much more aggressive? And this is team ball. And when it's team ball, you know, these guys don't have to worry about getting the ball when they go back on offense. So what happens? These guys are going to contribute to the defense. That's how it works in the NBA. Yeah, there's guys out there that don't care. They just want to play great defense. Okay. But there's a lot of guys with offensive talent also. And you got to share the ball. It's team ball. When the Cavaliers see that LeBron James, I am talking about LeBron James' teammates, sees him in the game that much, 40 plus minutes, and blames his teammates a lot. And even including in that game versus Indiana when they won. You saw some issues with LeBron and he was yelling at someone, whatever. Notice how LeBron addresses his teammates. It's not the same way as Draymond Green. Because Draymond's not going to the media complaining about his team. It's a much different situation than LeBron. And his teammates know that. So the whole idea that the Cavaliers are going to figure all this out, it's possible. Anything's possible in sports. But that win was not impressive at all. There's a lot more ways to look at the situation than just saying LeBron James got 41 points in a playoff game. Nobody's going to ask why Indiana was winning by 25 points in the first half. Nobody's going to ask why LeBron James had to be in the game for 45 minutes or why he's been averaging around 40 minutes in the game and other stars of other teams are averaging around 30. Steve Kerr is a smart coach. I'm not saying Tyrone Lue is not smart, but he doesn't completely coach that team because you got LeBron James who takes control of games. Including the fact that we don't even know if the reason why LeBron is playing 40 plus minutes is because of him or Tyrone Lue. And the reason why it's like that is because of LeBron James and his attitude. With the Warriors, you know that it's Steve Kerr who's getting these guys in the game around 30 minutes. That's including Draymond and Durant again and Steph and Clay. They're not in the game for 40 plus minutes unless most of the time it goes to OT. So the situation with the Warriors and the Cavaliers, the Warriors are the best team in the regular season this season again for a reason, and that's because they are the best. It doesn't mean they're guaranteed to win anything as far as a championship, but they're the best. I'm rooting for them. And then you look at the Cavaliers. Their defense is mediocre. LeBron playing 40 plus minutes. If you haven't noticed when you talk about Kobe, the reason why you guys out there want to compare LeBron to Kobe, or even say that he's better than Kobe or whatever, which I think is ridiculous, but you want to say that. A lot of you don't want to talk about how tough it is in the NBA because it's a lot of wear on the athlete when they play that much basketball. Like, are you guys that ridiculous where you can't figure this stuff out? And then you guys are out there talking about the Warriors and Steph, and whether Steph can ball. He already won a championship. He can ball. And beyond all of that, he's one of the best perimeter shooters of all time. You can't argue that. And then you want to start comparing eras of the NBA when you talk about the Warriors, whether Steph would have been able to compete in another era. How about this? As much as you guys root for LeBron James, the defense in the NBA is completely different. And even now, LeBron James doesn't want to always drive to the net. And that's why you see him shooting from the perimeter. And back in the day, when guys like Rodman would be in the paint, you better believe LeBron wouldn't want to be driving the net that often. And that's why LeBron James can't be compared to Michael Jordan. And even recently, Dennis Rodman said similar. When you say the best, you better mean the best. Not just be talking about it because you're a fan or whatever. Compare the athletes. I don't want to get into specifics because I have a video already about the comparison between LeBron and Jordan and why Jordan is better than LeBron. But really, if you didn't watch the games and you try to talk about Jordan, it's obvious. A lot of you in the sports media, that's what you're doing. You're talking, but it's a lot of nonsense. It's ridiculous. And then you guys go on to hate on the Warriors. I wonder why. You know, when Steve Kerr was on the Bulls, and that's when I started watching Steve Kerr, you really don't know about basketball if you really don't know about Steve Kerr, and you guys thought that he just got the Warriors job by accident or whatever. I mean, you're a complete joke if that's what you think. And then you talk about this Warriors team like you've seen a guy like Steph before that could shoot from the perimeter like that? No, you have not. He's one of the best of all time from the perimeter. Those are facts. Notice how he shoots the ball. And this Warriors team, it's about showtime. I mean, really, that team is awesome. And if you don't appreciate the Warriors, which a lot of you, again, rooting for the Cavaliers because when LeBron went to Cleveland and then he goes to Miami, you guys were hyping that up. You had events about it and everything else. Then he goes back to Cleveland. Yeah, he quit teams to win championships. That's what happened. Michael Jordan didn't do that. And don't talk about the Wizards because he didn't go there to win championships. We're talking about him as a franchise player for the Bulls. So you can say what you want about whatever player that you root for. Just say that you're a fan when you start talking like that. Especially in a game versus Indiana. In the first round of the NBA playoffs. When the Cavaliers can't even figure out how to win without having LeBron in the game for 40 plus minutes. That's really interesting. Then you start talking about the Warriors this season. Not even just about Steph and Clay. Really, this had a lot to do with Draymond. Then you start talking about McGee for whatever reason. You know, you guys want to talk, but it's about you just saying things because you have nothing really to say about the games themselves, especially if you even talk about the Warriors defense again. So in one game, you're going to celebrate the Cavaliers and a win like this, 119 to 114 against Indiana. And then you see that the Warriors, they win 109 to 81. You don't have anything to say about that? You don't talk about the defense of the Warriors? We're talking about in the paint. Did you not watch the game? Are you not interested in watching the games on the West Coast? What is it? I'm asking the people in sports media because you guys, you want to continue talking like this about the NBA and you really don't know what you're talking about at all. If you try to watch these games and you're talking about the Eastern Conference, it is no offense to the Eastern Conference, but even in that series with the Bucks versus the Raptors, look at the Raptors. Not impressive at all. Mediocre basketball. And there was another game that night also. The Grizzlies versus Spurs. The Grizzlies won. No excuses for the Spurs either. Because when I see the Warriors going up against the Spurs, Warriors are the better team. Spurs have an impressive system and very good coaching. The Warriors are better. And that has a lot to do with, of course, the players on the Warriors and Steve Kerr as a coach. As a team, because the playoffs are about team basketball, even the regular season is about team basketball, but again, the Warriors, they're better. So shout out to DubNation. This conversation about the NBA, it gets crazy because a lot of people out there, they're just talking like fans, especially in the sports media. And they trash certain teams, we notice. And I'm saying that the Warriors are the best team in the NBA right now. But I'd like to know what you guys think. Post your comments down below. Let me know what you think about the Warriors, the Cavs, or any other team in the NBA. And of course, if you like this video, give a thumbs up. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.